Well, look at this. This is how you eat gumbo in New Orleans, or really anywhere else at home, wherever you like. Hello, I'm Chef Don, and welcome to Simple and Delicious Recipes. We have a real delicious one for you today. It's my shrimp gumbo, my New Orleans or NOLA gumbo. You may have heard it on Forrest Gump, may have seen it, may have wanted to taste it, but I tell you, this gumbo is gonna beat all them gumbos out there, okay? So definitely you're gonna wanna stay tuned, because look at all the ingredients we got. It's gonna be a shrimp gumbo with some andouille sausage. You're gonna love it. I have here a wealth of wonderful ingredients. Andouille sausage, I'm gonna pop them in my pan. They're already smoked, they're already cooked, but I want them to brown a little bit. And I know if I put them in my gumbo with all the other ingredients, they're just gonna look like this, and I want them to look like pop, you know, wow. So let's get those sausages in there. Come on, baby, and cook them up, okay? So I'll give them a little color. I ain't worried about them being too undercooked. Now, if you do have raw sausage, I suggest you cook it until it is definitely done and get that color in there. So while that's going on, let me tell you what we got here. We have here some oil and flour, because we're gonna make us a roux, R-O-U-X, okay? And what a roux is, basically equal portions of oil and flour. I'm using all-purpose flour. When we do this, it's actually going to thicken and flavor and color our roux. All those three things is gonna do just by making this up. Now, if you ever see any recipes coming out of Louisiana, they're always gonna say, start with a roux. So we're gonna make a roux, but I wanna get my sausages browned off first. And the reason I'm using the same pot is I want all those proteins that are in the sausage to stick to the bottom of the pot and give us some more flavor. Because whenever you're cooking food out of New Orleans or food out of Louisiana or anywhere down there in the Gulf of Mexico, you're always what we call building on the flavors. We're gonna build on a lot of flavor today, okay? So look, I'm looking in this pan now, and I see some of those little bits and pieces just coming off the sausage, smelling so good. I just want to eat it all up, but I gotta save it for the end. So we're just gonna get a little color in there. I know a couple of pieces of okra fell in there, but that's okay. They're just happy to be there. We're gonna put some more in there later. By the way, okra is how gumbo got its name, okay? So when this recipe came over, and it came over through Africa, came over through the Caribbean, came up into the south of the United States, came into Louisiana, and it was actually gumba, or gumbo, as we call it today, is a wonderful stew made with okra. Now, I know some people leave it out, and that's cool. You do what you want, okay? All right, look, I'm gonna turn this off now, because my sausage is now brown. Let me remove it from the pan, because we're gonna do some roux. All right, look at this. I don't know if you can see inside my pan here, but all those little bits and pieces are stuck there. There's a little bit of oil from the sausage, a little oil I put in there earlier as well. So now we're gonna make a roux, and I want to put a little more oil in there, okay, because I need about 2 tablespoons. And let me turn my fire up. See if it's on. Yep. And I got 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. Place that right in there. Stir it. And then let it cook for a little while. The reason you're gonna let it cook for a little while, you don't want that floury taste in your gumbo. And also, you want another taste. It's gonna actually be a flavor similar to, I would say, toasted nuts, you know? Has a really nice flavor. It'll turn brown, and as it's turning brown, as I said earlier, that's gonna also color our wonderful gumbo. Now, you can let it go on low and stir for, I don't know, 20 minutes or so, or you can turn up the heat and keep stirring, but definitely want to keep an eye on it, because you don't want to burn your roux. That's important, okay? Because once it's burnt, start all over again. That's an important thing. So just keep that. I saw Paul Prudhomme one time, and he made this big pot of roux, and he said, I'm gonna make this roux in 5 minutes, and then all the chefs in the audience said, yeah, right away. But he didn't tell us that he had this fire underneath. It was a blast of a gas fire. It was like 650 degrees. It was just shooting up, and he had this big cast iron pot. He did that whisk, and in 5 minutes, that roux turned from white to a gorgeous mahogany. Beautiful. So there you go. Something that we learn all the time. Those little bits and pieces in the bottom of this pan, don't be dismayed, because what we do is about the flavor, and this is called layering the flavor. Now I'm smelling this roux. You don't smell it, but I'm smelling it, and it smells really good. Okay, so I'm gonna let it just stir just a little bit more, and then we'll add some of the vegetables to it. So our roux is there. Now we're gonna add the vegetables. You'll get a simmer, and we start cooking right away. Get the vegetables cooked. We got us a gorgeous roux color, and let's get them cooked. Yep. Okay, so we're going to cook the vegetable just a little bit. I'm going to add the garlic in just a minute, but I did put in onions, and I put in green bell peppers. All right, add a little more oil in there, a little oil. So as our vegetables are now cooking in the roux, the juices are coming out, the sugars are coming out, and they're adding another layer of flavor to our gorgeous gumbo. All right, we'll stir those with just a little bit. I do have some garlic here because I don't think you can cook anything in Louisiana without some garlic, okay? That is like part of the religion of cooking. Okay, so now the onions are getting soft as well as the peppers. I'm going to add in some Cajun Spice. You can check out our video for Cajun Spice. I've got it also, and would love for you to go ahead and take that. You can make it up ahead of time and use it on so many different things, not just gumbo, okay? It's really a wonderful flavor. Get us a little more in there. I'm using about a tablespoon in this recipe. Okay, of course, if you want to kick it up some more, you can. That's an important thing. And now I'm going to add in the garlic. So you see I didn't add the garlic earlier. Garlic burns really quick. And like I said, if you burn it, you got to throw it away and start over again. And we're not about to do that, folks. Okay? Let's get that garlic in there. Cooking it up. All right, so it has that dark color. We are going to add some tomato paste in there along with our stock, so it'll have a little bit of a red color. And then at that point, we're going to add in our corn and our okra. All right, here we go. So it's been about a minute on the garlic, and now the stock. As you see, when we put the stock in there, it's actually going to start thickening up. I'm using chicken stock, of course. You could use other flavored stock if you wish. Let me give it a quick stir. And as I said, it's going to start thickening up. And as always, when you're doing stock to roux, you either have to start with cold roux to hot stock or cold stock to hot roux, okay? You don't want to have hot roux and hot stock. So if you made your own stock, you want to let it cool down a little bit before you add it into the hot roux. Because if you don't, trust me, it'll make like a softball, boom, and you're going to have a difficult time breaking it down. You know, we throw a lot of these tips out when we're cooking because these are what chefs do. They know these things, and it's nice to share them as well. All right, let's put in some more. So I'm going to use a quart of stock in this recipe because it'll make just the right amount of gumbo. And as it's cooking, it's going to start thickening a little bit more because that was the rice that we put in there. I'm sorry. That was the flour we put in there. The rice is going to come later. I'm getting ahead of myself a lot, don't I? I just can't wait to eat this. That's why. All right. Now, as that's cooking, now we're going to add in our tomato paste. Okay. Stir that in. Look at all those flavors we're putting in there. Tomato paste, you know, has been cooked, the tomatoes are cooked down. They're going to have to be really rich, and we call this enriching. So when you add a tomato paste to a particular dish, you'll actually hear a lot of chefs say, well, enrich it with some tomato paste, and that's what it's making, because it's such a rich thickness that it's going to make that sauce or stock or soup or whatever you add it to even more richer in flavor. Okay, kicking it up. Definitely want to do that. And we haven't yet even added in the sausage or the shrimp. But let's give it a little bit of a taste right now. Let's see where we're at. I haven't put salt and pepper in there either. That's coming up. That does have some kick to it. I think we put just the right amount of Cajun spice in there. Of course, there's some people that like it even more spicier. All right, so now I'm going to add in there my corn. Now this is raw corn that I just cut off the cob, and this is frozen okra. So we do need to cook it for about 10, maybe 10, 15 minutes, no more than that. And then we'll come back and add in the rest of the ingredients. Okay, so I've been testing, of course, just get a little taste here and there. And now I'm ready to kick this up a couple of more notches, all right? I'm gonna add the rest of my tomato paste right in there, enrich it some more. This is gonna be so good, yes, indeed. Let's stir that in there. I don't wanna leave any out. Okay, let's put this here. And I have here some thyme, and I also have here some oregano. So what I'm going to do is just strip it back like this. Okay. And the same thing with the thyme, just strip it. All we got to do is just pull it back on the leaves. And the leaves will fall off on the stems. Sometimes with the thyme, I just take the whole thing and just throw it in the pot. Don't have time to be fooling with the thyme, right? That's like a pun. Yeah, okay. And let me get my knife. Do a little quick chop on the oregano. Now I have some basil here that's going in at the end, but in there goes the herbs. All right, let's move this out of the way. And we'll push this out of the way as well, because we're almost done. All right, good. I'm gonna let this cook for another minute or two, and then we'll test it and add whatever salt and pepper we need to make it just right. Our gumbo is just perfect. It's enriched. Now we're just gonna add the last ingredients, and here's how we do it. Remember that andouille sausage? Almost all of it's gonna go into the gumbo. Quite honestly, when we weren't filming, a few pieces got missing. I don't know where they went, but that's okay. That's all right. As long as people are happy, I'm happy. Now, we know the sauce is already cooked, so that's go in there, but the shrimp is not cooked. So we're gonna put it in there, and just when the shrimp turn pink, bing, they're done. That's why I'm putting them in last, because I want them to be nice, and when you bite into a shrimp, it bites back. If you overcook it, it gets rubbery and all. We don't want that, right? So that's the last ingredient you put in there. Stir them in, just like that, and they'll be turning pink before you know it, about a minute or two. So what I'm gonna do, while they're cooking in there, I'm just gonna take my basil and roll it up just like this, and then put it on my cutting board and give it a thin chiffonade, just like this as well, and then into our gumbo. Let's do a few more right here. Fresh basil. If you have dried basil, that's cool. Put that in there as well. Works just as well. I usually rub it between my fingers to get those herbs, the dried herbs kicking up, but we're good. All right, last bit of basil. Good. Stir that in. And the shrimp are just about done. And we're going to be serving it. I'm going to take out the thyme. Remember I threw that in there? That's great now. Just take the stems and dispose of them. Let those rest of those herbs blend in with all this wonderful. Look how, this is so good. It looks so good. All right. So in just a minute, I'm going to do the final test and see if it needs a little more salt, a little more pepper. And obviously, you can add hot sauce to it. We particularly like Texas Pete because we're right here in North Carolina, and Texas Pete is our favorite hot sauce, but you add with the hot sauce that you like to add into it, okay? And those shrimp are just about turned fully pink. I know sometimes it's hard to see in there, but you can see how firm they are and feel how firm they are as well. Okay, I've already tasted it. I added a little bit more salt, a little pepper, because all those seasonings had salt in it already. And man, this is, look at this color. Look, I want you to look at this color. I was telling you the reason why we cooked that roux, and the reason we cooked that roux is to add color into it. We added the tomato paste to enrich it, to make it nice. Look at that, look at how it's thickening. Also, the okra, when it cooks up, it also thickens up your gumbo a little bit as well, all right? But all this goodness is just waiting to be consumed, and we always serve it over some rice. So I'm telling you, we got our gumbo on here, and this beats anything that you've seen in the movie theater, okay? It is so good. Well, look at this. This is how you eat gumbo in New Orleans, or really anywhere else at home, wherever you'd like. This is my version of shrimp gumbo. I put some andouille sausage and lots of love and flavor in there. So the recipe is below. Check it out. Also below, comments. Maybe you have some additional recipes. I know there are many gumbo recipes as there are gumbo chefs in this world. Okay, so I know that, and I love to share information, do it all the time. In addition to that, while you're down there, check out our link to Patreon. We'd love to have your sponsorship. It would mean so much to us. If you haven't yet, also subscribe. You want to see all these videos, and we've got a lot more coming up. Lots of great information to share. Hit that like button. That warms my heart, okay? So as always, when you're cooking with Chef Don, it is always simple and delicious.